Hello and good evening. Welcome to this week's edition of Ask Andrew Anything About Email Marketing. And suffice to say, today is Wednesday, and I come up live or I live stream every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Malaysian time, which is about 8 GMT, 8 plus GMT. Anyways, and what I want to do is I'll spend 20, 30 minutes with you to answer your questions on email marketing, any questions that you have on email marketing. And the idea is to help you out, and move you along in your journey towards email marketing expertise. All right. So for those of you who are new, a quick introduction. My name is Andrew. I'm known as the email guy. And this is what I do. I help businesses build deeper relationships and sales. There was a typo error there, and grow sales with their prospects and clients through the use of both inbound, which is basically emails of people who have given you permission to email to them, and cold outreach emails, which means you are reaching out to a stranger who may not have heard of you, but you have narrowed them down as a potential prospects for your business. Okay. And just in case you're wondering where you send your questions, this is what you do. You go to ants.digital/ask, or if you have a phone with you, then scan the QR code and it will lead you to a simple Google form where you can just fill in your email address so that if anything, I can always email you in my clarification or questions. Or, and at the same time, then put in your questions and I'll answer them in the following week. Okay. And if you're wondering where you can get more content or to hear more from me, you can go to LinkedIn. I've got a LinkedIn profile, which I post regularly on LinkedIn on ideas, hacks, on email marketing that I share with my audiences. All right. So what you need to do is go to ants.digital/LinkedIn. It is a short link. It will link you directly to my LinkedIn profile. And what you do is you can click on the follow button. And if you like, you can click on the bell button, which will allow you to be notified whenever I post up new content. All right. Okay. Enough of that. Let's go to the first question. Before that, let me go and check if there's any. So if you have any questions, impromptu questions that you have, you can always key in onto the your social media content. I'm streaming to YouTube, my channel. I'm streaming to Facebook, Jason's group, my personal profile, and also my page, and on LinkedIn as well. That's the beauty of live streaming. Okay. So if you have just put in a comment section, I should be able to call up. Maybe not on LinkedIn. Apparently, the integration with my live streaming software is not completed. So they have yet to build the backend integration to LinkedIn. But generally, all the other platforms, I will be able to see it on the screen in front of me and I can respond directly. I can even feature your post on screen. Okay. So the first question is from Tori. And she's asking, how do you go about building a lead list for cold outreach? If you're on my email list, I've been emailing ideas and tips about cold emailing for, I think, for about close to a week already. And most likely that's where, it triggered this question. So, Tori, let me take you through the process. Okay. In order for you to do a cold email outreach, the first thing you need to have is obviously your lead list, right? Lead list is essentially the list of emails of people that you want to target, okay? And then number two, then you would need to basically do your research. Now, this is where a lot of so-called perception of cold email is being the way people think about cold email is different. They will think that all I need to do is get a list and I'm going to just blast them an email and to try to sell them something. That is called spamming. That's not cold outreach. The proper way or the respectful way of doing cold email outreach is you have a lead list, which means you literally target every single individual. That means you know that this person would have a potential that of a problem that you may possibly be able to solve. That's why you're reaching out. And so you're not reaching out to any Tom, Dick, or Harry. Okay. And then once you've done that, you then want to research to understand, where is he coming from, and then what do they do, and what are the issues, to really, really understand the person, the prospect first before you talk to them. Okay, and then you craft your cold email sequence. Okay, now this is the easy part, because once you have the target audience, you know basically what are the issues that you may face that you can possibly solve. Then it's a matter of building it, into your cold email sequence. That's why in cold email, every single email literally would be different from the next person. It's not one single template for everyone. Okay, that's the proper way of doing it. Yes, it takes a lot of work, but the other way is for you to run ads and try to bombard or so-called blanket as many people as possible. What you do is eventually you probably get 1% of your target audience, and the rest is being wasted, right? Because nowadays social ad targeting is not that precise anymore. Okay, because of privacy issue and all those things. So if you have a small list, or you are in a B2B, and this is important, it works best if you're in a B2B. So if you're in a B2C consumer, then it'll be a bit more difficult. For example, I'm going to target ladies who have interest in jewelry. That's too broad. That one, you use ads, right? But in B2B, I would want to target, for example, let's say mechanical engineering company. Okay. There's only a limited amount or limited number of mechanical engineering company within your country, or if you want to target the world, still it is not like in the millions or hundreds of thousands, right? So this one is where cold email works best. Okay. Oops. Looks like my share screen. Just a minute. Looks like my share screen crashed. Okay, let me try this again. Just give me a minute and restart this. And it's been wonky this whole week. I think it needs a software update. There you go. It's back up. Okay, cool. All right. Let me share this screen again. I'm going to share screen. There you go. Okay. Can you see? All right. Oops, you can't see this. Let me set up again. Just a minute. Let me switch this. Okay. Can you see? Yep. There you go. All right. I hope you can hear my audio. I think it's working. Let me see. Let's test and see. It's working. Yes, it's working. All right. So, as I was saying, if you're B2B, small group of target audience, cold email will be best. Okay. So now, to answer Tori's question again, how do you go about building the lead list? So let's focus on this one. Okay. There are a few tools, or there are a few methods of doing it. One of them is use LinkedIn. They have this feature called LinkedIn Sales Navigator. It is paid subscription. I think it's running about $79. What it does is it has a list of everybody who is on LinkedIn. Okay. And it allows you to, if you are an individual sales rep, for example, let me see. So it allows you to use LinkedIn as it is to build network access, to do advanced lead and company search, your lead and account recommendation, your job change, and target company newsletter. So for example, now you build a list of target audience. Whenever the person from the company makes a post, or maybe the company makes a post, then you'll be notified. So now you have a very clear idea of the happenings within the company as far as publicly is concerned. Okay, so LinkedIn Sales Navigator is great. you have to obviously do the groundwork of going through your contacts and all those things. But generally speaking, because as it is, if you're on LinkedIn, then it becomes an extension and gives you a lot more power in terms of or extensions in terms of what you can do with your list. Okay. The next option is to go through companies that actually builds or collate B2B leads. So what they do is now these are different. Okay, here's a fine line. You may receive emails from people saying that I'm trying to sell you a list of, let's say, 100,000 companies and all those things. As opposed to, so what's the difference between companies like this? Now, companies like this have a reputation to maintain. So what they do is they still scrape the list, but they will verify this list, okay? And they are not going to sell you dodgy list, all right? And it is not basically they are not selling you the list anyways. You are so-called renting the list, and they're compiling it, and you can just get the information from within their database, and you can use it to reach out. So Lucia is one of them. The next option is could be a company like Apollo. So it will have about, let's say, 200 million, 250 million contacts over 60 million companies. So instead of you going through LinkedIn, for example, and go through one at a time, you can still do the search function within LinkedIn Sales Navigator. You can search by area, you can search by industry, you can search by positions, for example, or company size or revenue size. It is still available. But what companies like Apollo and Lucia does is they have already compiled this. So it is a lot more easier for you. And all you need to do is once you've got the list, doesn't mean that you're going to send it to all of them. You still have to go through the list and to identify in a bit more precise manner which one is suitable for you to send. All right. The other option is companies like ZoomInfo. Now, this is a premium one, obviously, because they're not sharing the pricing. So obviously, I understand that it's not cheap for ZoomInfo. And finally, you can also look like, for example, a solution like Uplead. All right, so it's about 74 US dollars a month subscription. So it allows you B2B prospecting with 95% data accuracy, which means they actually clean through the list. But in most cases, I would recommend if you use any of these services, is for you to do the cleaning on your own as well, just to be sure, because you don't know how often they update it, or maybe there was some changes because people change job. Especially now, the job market is pretty volatile. You won't know. They could be here this week, and they could be out of a job next week, or they could have moved on to another job, right? So these are the options. You have LinkedIn Sales Navigator, then you have Lucia, then you have Apollo, and you have ZoomInfo. And what's the other one? Can't remember. ZoomInfo, then the other one is Uplead. Okay. So once you have downloaded this list, then make sure you clean this list again. Okay. Just to make sure. And then you still need to do your own research as to, what are the key points that you can, so-called the bridge. I always used to call it the bridge that allows you to connect to the other person, some conversation or icebreaker conversation that you can start off with. Okay. So Tori, I hope I've addressed the your questions about what are the how do you go about building your lead list. Okay, it is a fair bit of work, but I can tell you it is worth it once you've identified the audience, because you pick the audience now, as opposed to somebody who gives you an audience and you're trying to reach out to them without any context. Okay. And by the way, if you need somebody to help out and you find that you identify your audience and all those things, then you can always talk to me. I have a done for you services where I can actually help you from coming up with a list, running through the offers that you have with your potential prospects, and then writing the email sequences, and then managing the entire cold email selling, and also the monitoring the results. Okay. But that aside, so let's move on to the next question. We have one from Rahman. And he's asking, can I start selling from my email welcome sequence? Rahman, the answer is absolutely yes. And also, I will encourage you to do that. Okay. So let's look at an example. Let's say you are selling, let's say, a consulting business. Okay. And one way of attracting your potential people who subscribe to your list, it could be, let's say, a lead magnet, right? So you put out on your social, let's say 5 ways to optimize your profits, let's say. Okay, it's broad, but just an example. And people who are interested in this would then obviously sign up to get your lead magnet, and then it will go to your email sequence, right? Now, this is what you call your welcome email. So the first email could be obviously to deliver the content, all right, which is to deliver the lead magnet, because that's what they asked for. So you give them that. And then the next thing is could be an introduction. All right. And then maybe from the third email on, you can make an offer. Now, the difference is this is what we'll call a low ticket offer. Pretty much a low risk, something that they can easily make decision on without having to go through a committee or tender or whatever it is. And this is the basis of what Russell Brunson calls the value ladder. Okay. So you start with something low, and this has to be in relation to your lead magnet, the next step. Okay, so let's say, for example, your lead magnet is 5 ways to optimize your profit. So your first offer, for example, could be maybe a simple audit. All right, something that be done easily, something that they can see results as soon as possible. And then you can then migrate to the next item, maybe implementation, or either some documentation, for example, and so on and so forth. So up to the point, maybe at this point, it could be maybe a coaching or a mentor kind of assignment. All right. So this is what you call your high ticket. Now, if you notice from here, the sequence, there are so many avenues for you to write your emails. And this is what you call your customer journey. Okay. So starting from, I don't know, and to the point that, okay, I can see some results, and then I want to go to the next step. And if they're happy with your work, obviously, and then from then on to the point that they become your high ticket customer. So yes, Rahman, you should start sell from your welcome email sequence. And one of the benefits is this. You are, to a certain extent, you are segmenting your audience, because you want to know those who are just interested in your lead magnet and nothing else. Or maybe they are drawn by your lead magnet is so good, the title is so good, they're drawn in, but they may not like the content, or they may not like the content that's relevant to you. So when the moment you start making offers like this, they will drop off, which means they will unsubscribe. Which is good, because you now know you're talking to the wrong audience, and those who stayed back or those who continue to read and open your emails are those who are potentially prospects that you can convert into customers. So it's important to do that. And the next thing is, it is your obligation as a service provider to give them an option for the next step. You can't give them, for example, build an idea of, a perfect meal, and you don't make an offer to serve them that meal, right? So if they find it that, okay, fine, I like this meal, I like the idea of your meal, but it's a bit too expensive for me, then fine. But most of them, or a certain percentage of your audience, may want to proceed and say, so I like the idea, let's go and try. Okay. So you may not sell a $1,000 meal, you may serve a $100 meal, and they like it. Then they come back for a bit more premium dishes, for example, or premium ingredients, because they trust you. That's how you're building trust while you're making money. Okay. So Rahman, I hope I've answered your question. So now I have a very little small ask. All right. And if you're on LinkedIn and you're part of my network, part of my audience, or my email list, you will realize that this morning I actually sent out a notice, an email also, that I've been so-called nominated as part of the 4 based on Musen. Musen is an excellent ESP, right? Email service provider. So if you're doing inbound marketing, you should consider them. Okay, Musen.com. and they're running a little fun contest where they're trying to find out the top LinkedIn top email marketers quest. Right, so I'm one of the top 4, if you notice there. And as part of this, it's some sort of like a popularity contest, and you would have to uh, vote, right? So if you can and you find value from all the live streaming that I've done so far, and you think I could deserve it, then I would love to have your vote. Okay, so how can you do this? All you need to do is you can scan this QR code, which will lead you to the LinkedIn post by Musan, or you can type on Musan.email guy is so-called a short link, and it will then send you to the LinkedIn post. Obviously, you need to have your LinkedIn account. So if you don't have a LinkedIn account, then forget about it because you can't vote, right? So if you have a LinkedIn account, great. Then you go to this, and then you can vote for me, and I will appreciate it very much. It's for fun. It's something that Um, it's free publicity, as far as I call it, and it's great for Musan, and it keeps the audience engaged, and also build a tighter knit within us email marketers. All right, so this is just a very simple small ask. If you're LinkedIn, do give me a vote, and you find that you're getting values from this weekly live stream. I appreciate it, and with that, thank you for your time, and I'll be back for the next questions sessions. And if you have questions, again, like I mentioned, go to this page or go to this site, ants.digital/ask, and then submit your questions. And I will answer questions like what I have Tori and also Rahman have done. I will answer your questions this way and give you as much value as possible, and give you action items that you can do to take your email marketing to the next level. Okay, so thank you so much. I'll see you again next week. Andrew Wong signing off. Have a good evening and cheers.